All right. Looks like we have some people rolling in here.
Yeah.
Don, good to see you. Benno, Jeff, Lee, Monica, Mark, Randall. Oh, I know a lot of these people. It's fantastic. Hey, while we're waiting for a couple others to roll in, put in the chat where you are located, where you're calling in from. Dylan and I are both here on the West Coast, San Francisco and San Diego representing.
Yeah.
See, we have a couple other people registering at the last minute too. So we'll give maybe 3 minutes after to get started as people roll in here.
It looks like the chat is disabled,
Oh,
Jonah.
uh-oh. All right, let me see what I can do about that. Hmm. Well, that's interesting. It says it's active. I don't know what to do about that.
It looks like people can ask Q&As, but I think
Yeah, I
the
guess we
direct
could.
chat is just for us.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I guess use the Q&A link at the bottom. Perhaps it's a webinar thing.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different than typical Zoom. Hi, Wendy. Joan, good to see you. Nadim, this is great. All right, what do you think, Dylan? You want to get started here?
Yeah, we got 20. Why not?
Fantastic, fantastic. Um, Perfect. Okay, we're going to get started, everyone. Be mindful of your time. Thank you for taking the time with us today. In case you don't know me personally, my name is Jonah Burlingame, and I've spent my career on the frontier of new technologies, helping organizations cut through the hype to turn innovative capabilities into practical results. And I've noticed that AI is moving faster than pretty much any technology in my career, and it's hard to keep up. And it requires a lot of not only research, but also speaking with other people to really kind of triangulate and understand what's going on. And so it's with great pleasure that I can introduce Dylan Banks, who I've known for a while now, and has been working with AI for a very long time, even before the ChatGPT breakout moment, and more recently building his own custom agents. And so Dylan helps organizations turn those insights into workflow processes. And so when we began a dialogue about these tools, we decided it's time to create a session like this to help leaders discover practical AI solutions that they can put to work right away, rather than just this particular session being about all of the tools that are out there and keeping up with who's best and which capabilities are in the race, so to speak. Um, we have decided to focus on specifically just a couple tools that are easily adoptable and that work. And so that's what we're going to be showing you today. We're going to be focusing primarily on Perplexity Pro, just due to the feature set that it happens. I think that you'll find a lot of these workflows could be applicable to other LLMs or Gen AI solutions as well, like ChatGPT and others. But I think what you'll see here is a more advanced capabilities that can meet workflows of executives and others. Today, as Dylan's showing you on the screen here, just acknowledging some of the range of self-reported proficiencies with AI tools today. It's really primarily people identifying as beginner. So having dabbled in probably some of the basic usage of ChatGPT and others, all the way to advanced in where they're actually focusing on some really sophisticated prompts and so forth. So we're going to do our best to really cover the gamut of making it accessible for those that are beginners, but also make this really engaging and helpful for those of you that identify as advanced, and even we have a few experts in the room too. So that'll be fun. The agenda, quick intro, just did that. We're going to show you a quick overview of Perplexity Pro just to orient you in terms of what it looks like and how it feels and the top line capabilities. And then we're going to get into the real meat of this webinar, which is the specific use cases for executives, market intelligence, team management, and thought leadership. And then we're going to reserve some time at the very end. Hopefully the Q&A will work for us here and we can take a few of your questions and answer that as well. So let's get started. Dylan, do you want to give us a quick overview of the Perplexity Pro interface?
Yeah, thank you so much for that introduction, Jonah. My job here today is, since we have kind of a wide variety of experience, I'm here to give everybody a little foundation into Perplexity Pro and get you guys up to speed so that when Jonah goes a little more in depth later, everything will kind of make more sense. So to kick it off, when you open up Perplexity and create an account, this is the landing page you'll see. Um, some of you that are a little more advanced might be familiar with this. This looks similar to a lot of other LLMs these days. You ask questions here, you get responses just like ChatGPT or Claude. But the real differentiator with Perplexity is these three buttons right here. So as you can see from the labels, the first one we have is search. Search would be the equivalent to the Google AI, but what's awesome about Perplexity is the references, and we'll give you some examples later on, but it absolutely kills the Google Gemini AI in terms of accuracy and speed delivered. Next, we have research. Research is a great deep dive into any topic. If you want a one-off analysis or you want a comprehensive multi-source report for a specific question, you would use research. And then finally, which is very exciting, 2 weeks ago, Perplexity added Labs. This is only available in the Pro version, but Labs is actually Perplexity dipping their toes into the agentic AI source. So what else we have in the toolboard is you can choose your model. If you have Perplexity Pro, you get access to these advanced reasoning models. Although I will add that Perplexity is still doing some back-end prompt engineering. So if you sign up for Perplexity Pro, that doesn't grant you full access to ChatGPT o3 or any of these models. And for that reason, I just leave it on best. I think that's probably easiest for most. Another really cool part of Perplexity is you can choose where you get your sources from. So in this example, if you want to know like current events, what's going on in the world, you would query, just search the web. If, let's say, you want to try a new dietary supplement and you only want academic sources, you can click this and it will only return you academic sources. If you want to, let's say, fix your car and you only want Reddit or discussion forum posts, you would use social. And finally, for all my CFOs out there, if you only want SEC filings or news reports from the FT, you would use the finance tab. And then here, this is how we attach our files. You can also connect Perplexity to Google Drive, Dropbox, which is super useful. Finally, we have dictation. So you can just speak to it if you have a microphone. And then something ChatGPT 4.5 actually popularized is voice mode, where you speak to Perplexity and it speaks back to you. I know some of you have probably seen the video that Jonah shared a while ago of two AI models talking to each other. This is what using the voice mode would look like.
And
So
keep in mind what Dylan is showing you here for the beginners in the audience. You don't really need to know all of this. We're really just showing the broader capabilities. Some of them will make a lot more sense as we dive into the demos, but we really thought it was important to orient you to this interface. It looks familiar to ChatGPT and others, but it also has some enhanced capabilities.
yeah, exactly. So here's a search that I made using the just basic search function. I asked it who won the most gold medals in the most recent Olympics. Why I chose this search is that if you type this exact question into Google right now, it will bring up the 2020 Tokyo Olympics through Google Gemini AI. And so this is a good example to see just how much more accurate Perplexity is. It lists all of its sources under the overview or any point that it's trying to make, so you can see exactly where it's getting this from. As you can see right now, if I hover over them, it'll show you the exact source and give you a little blurb on what it actually took away from there. If you want to go more in depth, see all the sources laid out, you can go here. And Perplexity even allows you to remove a source if, let's say, for example, you don't like Wikipedia as a source. So now I'll move on to another example where I asked it a more complicated question. So for here, I asked it, what are the three biggest SaaS security threats tech companies must prepare for in 2025? For each threat, give one sentence definition, a real incident that happened recently, and a way that a C-suite executive could mitigate these attacks. And so, as you can see, from the basic search function, we get 19 sources. Pretty good answer. Again, you can highlight over these sources. But what I want to really highlight here is if you click on the steps function, you can see in the back end what it's doing. And in this example, it's just searching the web. It's given the exact search that we're giving it and reading the sources, answering the question. So if I scroll down, I asked it the exact same question, but I used the research function that we highlighted. And as you can see already, it used 46 sources and it gives a much more in-depth answer. If we go to the steps, we can see that it's querying individual questions based on the answers it's getting. It's re-asking questions, rereading sources. And so that is why it is such a more in-depth answer and will be very useful for trying to do real research and get data-driven responses. Finally, we have the same question asked once again, but to labs. And as you can see, it's only querying two more sources. Keep in mind this response took 9 minutes. Most responses with labs take a little while, so you can't ask every question for labs, nor would you really need to. But for your more in-depth questions, you should be using labs. And you can see it used an agent to give us a graph. It's a longer response, more sources that are thought out. These graphs are accurate, and it'll show you exactly within the steps and the sources where it's pulling this information from. As you can see, here's the steps. It's a lot more in depth. And you can even ask follow-up questions within the same thread. I just wanted it to make another chart to show that use. And this is kind of the baseline that Jonah was talking about for how you're going to interact with Perplexity on a day-to-day basis. Where I want to take you to next are spaces. This is what Jonah and I are really excited about within Perplexity. This allows you to share a space with your team. So here I will do an example. For this example, I have a CMO marketing dashboard. You can add a description so that your team knows exactly what's in this dashboard. And then I have an example prompt here. So for this prompt, I'm telling Perplexity, you're a strategic AI partner to the chief marketing officer. Each time this space runs, produce performance snapshot, some key metrics, 3 campaign insights, 2 strategic recommendations, and a list of the data that you're sourcing from. And so if we hit continue, this will make a brand new space. This is what your space looks like. You can hit the share function here to share it with your team. You can say access anyone with the link or only your team members. And then here you can see this is the context section. It has the instructions that I put in. You can also upload files and links, and Jonah will go more in depth as to what you can actually do with these spaces, give some examples for your teams. But this is by far the most important feature within Perplexity, and really where you guys are going to see the most value. So with that, I'll pass it over to Jonah.
Yeah, thanks, Dylan. And I just want to highlight again one of the reasons we really like this interface is, we've all heard the concerns about hallucinations and inaccurate information that these LLMs can generate, and Perplexity can certainly do that, right? We're not saying that it's perfect. However, it's very transparent in the ability to dive into each one of those sources and where it's giving you those answers so that you can validate. And you always should validate that information. You should never take it as whole truth. Additionally, it's also showing you the steps that it's taking. So it's incredibly powerful for you to be able to get information and then validate it yourself and make sure you are that human in the loop that provides that sanity check and or the interpretation of that information to whatever you're doing within your organization. We are going to be spending a fair amount of time in spaces today because what's great about those is that you can really silo a particular task or information into an area with multiple threads, and you always have what Dylan was showing you, that context window where he had the instructions and the files. You can have that as persistent information that will always be looked at for all of your work within that space. Incredibly powerful, and I'm going to show you one very powerful space right now. So you should be able to see here, this is my market intelligence space. And I've already pre-configured this space with a lot of context. And this is probably the most sophisticated one that I've created for the demo today, but I really wanted to start there to show you the full power of this. And here you can see that we've got really a long set of instructions. We're giving it the idea of what role this space should play as a partner to me, how I want it to report. I want to make sure that it tells me it's looked at all the sources that I've put up there, and I'll show you those in a second. And some critical instruction, focus areas, report structure, and so forth. Additionally, we've got some various files that I've included as persistent sources for this space. One of them is these key offerings of my company. And in this case, I'm showing you that I'm a CEO of a mature fintech that offers solutions to small businesses. So that's the persona we're working with today. As such, I wanted to make sure that my market intelligence space is always aware of what my company's core offerings are. And so I created a document for that, as well as my competitors. And I can show you, I kind of created the competitors I always want to keep aware of. And I've just captured some major US banks with their links and fintech players as well. And I have links to various sources of information that I, in my role, follow, which are newsletters and or news feeds for various companies in fintech and small business as well. So it will always keep that context in mind with all of my queries. Now, this first one I want to show you, I did use research for because I really, really wanted a robust output. And so I'm going to kind of I'm not going to have you sit through 9 minutes of it creating the report, but I will show you the steps it went through. But here's the output. First, I do want to show you that I have a very extensive prompt here that we've engineered over time. This isn't something that you might easily and just come out of your head that you would do this, but you get better at this over time. And Dylan and I have worked quite a bit to refine this over time for this demo. But you can see in doing so, you're going to get more out of the tool when you put more into it. So,
I think
yes.
too, Jonah, we should mention that we know we're throwing a lot at everybody right now, and that it might be a little hard to follow. So we're actually making some follow-up documents. One of them is specifically going to go over prompt engineering. It will be another one will be mastering Perplexity, and then we'll have kind of a quick startup guide for the beginning. So if you can't take notes this fast, just know that we will be following up with some documents for you guys as well.
And yeah, thank you for that. And we will also provide a recording of this and the transcript as well, because this is a lot to cover in 1 hour. But the idea here is that we want to show you that these tools are ready to adopt, and they can be as sophisticated as you want to make them, right? So we'll show you some easier examples beyond this too. But this one I think is incredibly powerful. But in this case, I won't go through all of this just due to time, but I asked it to do a mandatory source check and tell me about that and give me an executive summary. I want to know about competitive landscape changes, industry trends, regulatory and compliance updates, strategic implications and actions I can take, give me any board-ready insights, and various formatting requirements. And so that prompt that I create once and I can run weekly on it, let's say a Monday, it will give me everything that's changed in the course of that 1 week. And you can see here is the output. And I'll show you the various aspects of it here in terms of the assets, steps, and sources after I go through the report. I'm not going to go too in depth here because there's a lot here. But here's my intelligence dashboard for June 23rd. I ran this yesterday because I do it on Mondays. My mandatory source check, yes, competitors, industry news, and regulatory. Here's the executive summary. I asked it to give me 3 top-line bullet points. It gave me it automatically generated this chart for me, competitive valuations, so I can see what other fintech companies, how they're doing in terms of the valuations over their strategic positioning. Landscape changes. You can see PayPal, performance metrics, Block, and so forth, all same format, comparing side by side. Gives me all of the sources. And like Dylan said, you can dive into any one of those and read the article associated to it. Industry trends. It generated this chart because it felt it would be useful to me, right? Which is the market size and the growth rate analysis. And I've got an example of how we can query to better understand this chart in a minute. It creates these generated files automatically for me, so it'll give me a table that I could easily bring into one of my own presentation decks, either for the board or for my team. It's a very, very robust output, right? I think you can see how you can tailor this to your particular needs. The regulatory timelines and so forth. It's going very in deep, but you can imagine me running this on a Monday and getting caught up on industry events and my competitors and compliance and so forth. It also summarizes some potential strategic implications and actions. Obviously, I want to bring my expertise in this to evaluate whether I think these are the implications and actions I might want to take, but it is another partner, if you will, in my ability to lead the organization, to highlight some things and then challenge it on my own. And then it's given me some board ready insights. Again, may or may not be exactly what you're looking for, but you can fine tune the prompt over time to give you exactly what you might need, right? Additionally, because that one report, maybe I didn't quite understand it. I just asked a follow-up question and I used the search mode, explain that fintech industry trends diagram that's in this report. And it says, okay, it referenced the report to summarize the core forces, and it breaks this down into easy to understand bullet points and a good takeaway. So it actually helped me to understand that chart a little bit better. So you can see the power of being able to get a report and even query the report itself, right? What do you think? Does this seem useful to everyone? You can put in the Q&A what you think. I will just cover very, very quickly at the top of this report, as Dylan showed you in the overview. It's a pretty, all the assets, oops, sorry, here we go. These are all the assets that it generated for me, so I can easily download those. And there's, for those of you that understand, there's Python code that you can use to even pull in and generate reports in other platforms. The steps that it took, here we go. You can see this is one step that it looked at all of this information, looked at my own documents that I've uploaded. It went back and forth. It would gather information and then do a new query, even against the web and those sources. And another agent then generated the various outputs that thought I might be useful to me, creating the charts, multiple charts, and wrapped up and synthesized a lot of that and provided the report. So this is where this differs in having a multi-agent response to a query is very different to a chat GPT. Go out, find information once, synthesize it, provide an answer. This is actually doing some reasoning and back and forth, and multiple agents with different capabilities to generate reports and so forth. 92 sources on this. You can even look at those. Sorry, the prompt is lot of 92 different sources that you can dive into. You can tell how your Monday morning could easily get you up to speed on the state of the landscape and competitors and such.
And in the chat as well, it's a lot of people are sharing that they're finding this very useful, Jonah. So it seems like we're doing something right.
Excellent, excellent. Good. Sorry if we're going a little bit too fast. This is a very in-depth tool for sure. I'm going to jump into another demo. This one's a little bit simpler, but I think also speaks to how leaders manage teams. And in this case, this is a collaborative space. That other one was a space that I'm not sharing with anybody else. So I can do whatever I want there and not have to really worry about sharing any sensitive data or whatever. This product team, I've made a collaborative space that I can work with the product team itself. And I have, I think, 13 employees in this demo that I work with to manage a particular product launch against our company OKRs. If you're familiar with, let's see, Benno has a question. Dylan, can you check that out? But in any case, you can, if you use any sort of frameworks like OKRs, which are somewhat popular for objectives and key results and managing overall organization growth and performance. We're also tracking against a particular project timeline and status. And then I've also incorporated here, I'll show you, as some of the files. This particular instance uses an Enneagram profile system, right? So we've got the profiles and personality assessments from everyone on the team and who works better together based on their personality type and so forth. So I have 3 frameworks here that are really working in concert that I can overlay with each other. OKRs, a product methodology, as well as personality types. I have custom instructions. Um, so acting an expert on a product team and so forth. I won't go into the persistent instructions. It's not as important to the output here, but you can see I've got communication preferences, which are from the personality test program that we did as a group, and how to facilitate meetings between the personality types. Our OKR document for managing overall company performance and how this ladders up to it, and also specific to the project itself, right? So I'm going to show you kind of some of the outputs here. And in this case, I'm going to prompt it with just a very simple one against my documents here to create a report on the project status and how we're tracking to our OKRs and if there are any team dynamics to be aware of. So this one will be very quick because I'm just using the search mode, but you can see it's reading my sources that I've uploaded. And here's the report. Overall project status, 78% complete, ahead of target. Schedule, yellow, there are some minor concerns and what they are. It's given me my source documents that it's referring to. The budget and meeting standards overall. And there are maybe some areas worth some attention, right? Gives me a high level chart or a table explaining that, and on and on and on. This obviously makes sense whenever it's your project, but it also does look at the Enneagram informed practices. Again, those personality types of various people on the team and the team dynamics and how they work together. Risks and blockers, some immediate priorities, milestones, and decisions that are needed, and an overall summary. Actions for the team. So this I might find to be a really good thread to share with my team because nothing sensitive here, and these are things I would want them to see. So I can actually share this particular thread, create that report, share the thread in the space. And so now all of the other folks in here, I'm sorry, there we go, that I have shared this with, Tina, Sarah, Marcus, and others, there's a longer list, they will all be able to, in their perplexity, see the product team space because I've shared that with them, plus only the threads that I've shared with them. So I can have private threads in here as well and easily see which ones are mine and which ones are shared. So in this example, I can show that I'm having, I've asked it, I'm having a team meeting, I want to celebrate our wins, I want to address the possibility of burnout, and ask for suggestions, right? So this is about people management at this point, and it gives me some very specific and helpful instructions on how to open the meeting, address burnout, and so forth. Again, this I shouldn't take this as, well, just do this. I want to certainly add my expertise onto this, but it is a partner in really starting to think through how I might address this team dynamics based on the context of the project is now. One of the things that has been was pointed out in the report was that because of where we are in the project, people are putting in some long hours and there's some high risk items that aren't kind of going as well as possible. So here's how you can actually address some of those things, and the different personality types will react to that burnout in different ways, and how can you address people individually based on their personality type. One last thing, how are we doing on time here? We've got, yeah, I've got just enough time. I think I can do this. This one's, I think, pretty interesting. I can actually prompt this. If you remember that market intelligence report that I did earlier, I can add that as a source to this document. I think it's downloads. No, it's I'm sorry, it's in my desktop. Here we go. Uh-oh, where'd it go? Uh-oh, I lost my document. Here we go, intelligence report. So I can actually upload that intelligence report that I had saved from the earlier demo and still keeping the context of the product team here, ask it to look at that intelligence report and see if there are any implications to our current roadmap. And here I'm just using the search mode, which is very quick. Right? It's identifying that AI is accelerating and we really may want to look at our roadmap, and that there are regulatory pressures that could have an impact on our deliverable. Embedded finance is on the rise. That may have implications to our particular product and so forth. So anyway, I have some roadmap adjustments and summary of action items. So just high level, wanted to show you that you can take reports that you've gotten already and integrate between spaces by pulling out key sources and be able to query against those to see what implications you have. So as an executive, you have a partner, a thought partner, in being able to really get the most out of the analysis of various aspects of the business. Was there a question? Wasn't following that, Dylan. Is there anything we should highlight right now?
Yeah. So I just want to hop in really quick. Thanks, Jonah. Randall and Benno actually both had the same question, and it was regarding privacy. Um, Randall was wondering, is the information being used to further train Perplexity? If so, where is that stored? If I'm working on a sensitive project, what protections are there for that to not leak into the global consciousness? And Jonah and I have actually talked about this a lot because we kind of anticipated that this would be a big concern, of course, because some companies do use everything you input to train their models. Why, again, we like Perplexity is there's actually a setting within your account where you can go and turn that off, and they will not be able to train Perplexity on your sensitive data. And then as a follow-up, I actually found the specific guidelines for security and privacy within file uploads for Perplexity. I was looking for that just so I could make sure that I have their exact wording for this, and I will link it to your question, Ryan. But the short answer is no, they cannot see any of your documents. They only read them and use them to respond to you. They do not train off of your own personal information, and that information will stay within your space.
That said, you should be aware, always concerned about privacy of your company data, and you might want to do some due diligence with your compliance team. And if you're in a heavily regulated space and industry, you really may want to do a little deeper dive into that. And certainly not all LLMs are created equal. So what is true with Perplexity today may not be the same level of security that you would find elsewhere.
Yeah, there's definitely a right and a wrong way to do it. And Jonah and I are happy if you have more questions to answer some follow-ups, just to let us know. Because we know that that would be a concern for a lot of people.
Very true. I'm going to show you one more team management demo here. This is a different space that I've created only for me. I'm not sharing it with anybody else. But in this one, I have perhaps more sensitive team profile information here that I wouldn't want to share with the broader team. We have done in this instance an Enneagram practice where we've defined each individual's characteristics, how they work together, and so forth. And I have uploaded all of that information specifically on a person-by-person basis, all the outputs from that particular initiative into this space. And I'm going to really just query against those documents to really kind of figure out how can I better manage my team, understanding their particular personality types better. And here, so I will start with this particular prompt, which is just preparing a weekly team meeting. I have this fear that the team is burning out. Give me some questions to engage the team, knowing that you engage different personality types in different ways, right? So help me guide tactics to manage their overall stress. And I'm just in search mode here, so I can get some fast answers. I really don't need to go into research and labs, although it would be interesting perhaps to see what those differences may be in the outputs. But team check-ins, just various prompts that I can use in language that I can adopt if I like. Also looking at specific engagement types based on a person's type. So this fictitious person, Sarah Chen, is a type 3 achiever. I can ask these types of questions which would resonate with her. And then type 5, 4, and so forth. So if you are familiar with personality types and managing a team that way, you can see how powerful this tool could be to help guide you in leveraging this information in a more effective way for managing teams. And on and on and on, right? So it's not overwhelming as a response to, but it gives me some very good tactics to guide their stress management and manage the team. Additionally, I can look at if I'm managing the team and I want to know if I'm building the team, are there any types that are maybe underrepresented in the team? Are there any missing? And it shows how many are within each and what they offer. And it says that maybe, you know, the peacemaker type 9 is underrepresented, and maybe the body center might be, right? So it gives me some things to maybe look out for, and the overall balancing of the types on the team. So you can see that as a space, I have all of these threads that I've already kind of created that I can reference in the future. So I can kind of come back to them time and time again as a little bit of source of truth. And each one of those threads has multiple queries potentially in it. And so I can really organize them based on really how I'm thinking of the team. And I can easily keep this space clean by deleting it. And there are other tools too. I can actually swap this particular one with a different space. If I perhaps did something in the wrong space, I can easily pop it over to one of my other ones. So it's a really effective tool for managing your information among your spaces as well. Does that resonate with anybody in terms of team management? All right. Lastly, I'm going to cover a demo on executive thought leadership. You know, a lot of executives, it's almost a requirement that they really get out there as a thought leader in the industry and in their space and for the company to really generate awareness and of the company and what they're doing. And in this context, you know, I find perplexity spaces to be really suited to this. It's a really great thought partner in being able to develop your voice and tone and what you can speak about and how to keep you organized toward that too. So in this particular instance, it's not a shared space. It's one just for me, although I can share specific threads if I want at any time. But I have it asking, you know, to always reference my writing style, telling it typically who my audience is. And then also I can tell it to prompt me when it's unsure of the space or of the result. One of the things within prompt engineering is that, you know, the AI typically wants to give you the best possible answer to satisfy you, but you can actually tell it not to be so agreeable. And that's a really good prompt engineering tip, in that you can say, look, you need to be 95% at least confident in your response. If not, ask me for clarification. So you can really tell it to be a little bit more challenging to you and back and forth, rather than just delivering, just the best answer possible. Um, I would like to, I'll just use a canned thread here for the most part, in which I'm asking it for a schedule of events that are upcoming, that are in the fintech industry and maybe even the small business community that I could potentially speak of or be a panelist. And this is the result that came back. Here are all the ones in 2025, and it goes by quarter, and it gives you the dates, the location, the scale of it, the application status currently. So it's gone out to all of the various, and I used research for this particular one. It's gone out to each one of the sites, found an appropriate thing, given me all the information I asked for, and provided a summary for this up through, well, Q. I think Q2 of 2026 I saw up there. And it's given me some overall speaking engagement opportunities and best practices. So this is something that it added on its own. It's like, hey, I recognize you're going to be applying. Here are some best practices you should be concerned with. Well, that's good information I didn't ask for, and I can even dive deeper into all that information too. So here I followed up with a quick question. I said, we'll create a table of those industry events in order and include the submission deadline dates. And here's a calendar of events with their submission deadline that I can check out. Their immediate opportunities, windows of submission, and planning considerations. So pretty useful to get a big plan in place of where you might want to speak. And let's just say then I wanted to go a little bit further and say, all right, I want to be at Finovate. I'm going to apply for that, but I need a weekly plan to really start generating some awareness about me speaking at Finovate and starting to get my views out there. So here I've prompted it to give me a weekly calendar of things that I could speak on, or I should say, create posts on with LinkedIn. And so it says on Monday, you could have a headline such as this, of the theme like this, with a post format, and even some suggested imagery and visuals. So this is a great thought starter. I certainly wouldn't grab this wholesale and just start implementing it, but it's a really great thought starter for that. And you certainly could refine your prompts to actually start giving what you want, right? Getting the output that you're looking for. And so it's got some content strategy notes for each one of those and additional tips. And then here's another beautiful little head bonus. It noticed that I'm asking for a weekly content plan and says, do you want to create a task for this, so that I don't have to run this prompt every week? I can actually just tell it, here are the instructions, run it weekly. And let's say I want to do it on Friday night, so that I can maybe I work on my stuff over the weekend, right? And so maybe I want to just run this every Friday at 3, and I save it, and it will automatically generate this prompt for me, and I can go in and evaluate the overall plan that it's given me. All right. Now, lastly, I want to show you one more AI tool that is not Perplexity, because I did promise, I did say tools in the webinar description, so I have to show you more than one. I'm going to stop sharing and pull over to a web browser here. Okay, I'll be sharing in a second. All right, one of the things that I have found, at least in my experience, is that um, headshots are usually kind of challenging, meaning that they're very expensive, they take time, and a lot of people don't really like to do them. And if I'm being honest, we probably usually only have maybe two or three headshots that we like, and most of them are probably out of date. That was certainly my story. And I had heard about these AI tools that will generate these profile photos for you. And so I thought I'd give it a try. And I did this recently. You upload a minimum of 4 photos, and it output I think over 100 of them for me. And I will show them to you. They don't all look exactly like me, but I've probably got maybe 15 or 20 that I could easily use. Um, I will just quickly scroll through these and you can see the amount of options that it provided me. There was the office exterior, a basic studio background, the gray studio background, office exterior, more interior, dark studio backgrounds. And it's got a range of, somewhat business casual to t-shirts to suits, a park, greenery, and so forth. So some of these work better than others for sure. I probably wasn't as discriminating with the photos that I uploaded as source as maybe I should have been. But in any case, I'm very happy with the output. And the the real interesting thing is this was $35. So you can see how there's really not not really much of a reason why your company website wouldn't have really a cohesive look amongst all of your employee headshots, and you no longer have to hire a photographer and take several days of photo shoots and wardrobe changes and all of that, and waiting for the right light and traveling to locations. And for your new hires, you don't have to wait until the next photo shoot to get them on the website. You can actually $35 um, find a standard photo look that you want to match your company website and have them on really the next day. What do you think? The
Liza
supplied
asked,
images? Oh,
yeah, the supplied images.
That's funny, Lyle. Yeah, I had like 4 of them that were on my desktop. I'm like, that's about all that I have is 4 photos that I semi like. One of them I had a baseball hat on. One of them I had foliage behind me. One of them was I don't remember the exact ones, but they were fine, and that's what I've been using. But it generated some really great likenesses. And the real test is whenever I show them to my wife and say, "What do you think?" And she said, "Yeah, those look like you." Most of them. Some of them kind of went a little strange and looked like a friend of ours for some reason. But in any case, I'm very happy with the output for $35. Certainly more photos than I've ever had to work with in the past.
Yeah, I was super surprised personally. I kind of pride myself as being someone who always has an eye for especially like LinkedIn photos. I'm like, oh, that's AI. And I looked at yours, Jonah, for like a full probably 2 minutes, and I was like, is that AI? I really genuinely could not tell. And then I asked him, and he's like, yeah, it's AI. And so I was like, oh, what is it? I need one right now.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah. Brian had a question. He said, is all this functionality, is that available on just the Perplexity Pro plan?
Yes. Yeah, everything we showed
Everything
you
is
is
done.
Perplexity Pro. I was showing you the web version of that, and Dylan was showing you the app, the desktop app version of that. So they're pretty much at parity. I don't really see much of a difference
Yeah,
there. But yeah, all of that is on Perplexity Pro. I don't remember what the current price is on that. I got it
20
through.
bucks.
What is it?
$20 a month.
$20 a month. Yeah. And then I think they
Yeah.
probably have a yearly subscription plan,
Yeah.
which is a little cheaper per month, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But
That's it. That's all you need. And then obviously the knowledge of kind of everything we're providing here today. Uh, it will take some getting used to, but it's an awesome tool.
Brian, I see you're asking how we landed on Perplexity over other LLMs. At some point you saw like the main value proposition of the different LLMs is that they're more accurate or they're better at one particular type of response over another. So there's kind of an arms race in terms of that. But uh, I heard Sam Altman say something somewhat recently. He said, the LLMs are all getting to the point where they are almost at parity and good enough for business use and daily use, personal use. And he said the real difference is going to be how the companies, the interfaces that they wrap around that and how they engage with it. And so that got me thinking about that. And that's my business, is really understanding interactions and how people interact with technology. So that certainly resonated with me. And where I see Perplexity standing out is exactly that. They've added spaces, they've added the various modes, and it's the way that you can interact with the LLM itself. Not to mention that they are also giving you access to other models that is not their own, which I think is fantastic. So they certainly, I think, have approached it a little bit differently. And I don't know if you saw the news, but there's talk about Apple maybe acquiring Perplexity. That just came out yesterday or the day before. And then Meta also said the same thing. So I think there's a battle between Meta and Apple to buy Perplexity. And I hope maybe one of them wins out over the other one, but I won't play my hand on that one. Um, one thing to really point out is we've been talking about individual workflows here and what it means for the company, but I think it's really important to, in my discussions with product leaders in various industries, is what we're starting to talk about is what's the real impact or the implications of these types of tools and interacting with getting information and doing tasks in this way. What does it do to the expectations that consumers have with digital experiences, right? So if you have a digital experience, a SaaS platform, a mobile app, or whatever that's core to your business, and consumers are being their expectations are being set in terms of how they interact with digital platforms, and yours does not meet the moment. I think there's an opportunity for like a true digital reset and reimagining with these new capabilities, because people's expectations are changing very rapidly. And this is not bolt-on technology. This is not a question of just putting a chatbot on your website or your mobile app. It really needs to be reimagined with these capabilities. So we have a couple minutes. You want to take a couple questions? Do we have any?
We got around to most of them, but yeah, feel free if anybody has some further questions. We have 2 minutes left.
Yeah. And as Dylan said, we will be following up with some other documents that will do a quick start, how to master some prompt engineering tips, as well as a recording of this and the transcript. And Dylan, do you want to show that one slide that we have with the
Yes.
takeaways? We'll just bring this up, or the very last slide might be good too. Max is asking if we see Perplexity learning you or the data. Yes, and that's part of, you can set preferences at the Perplexity level, right, with all your settings. And then in the space level, you can also create that intelligence, but then it is learning about you. And within that space itself, it does get better at understanding what you're looking for and what you think is a good output. And we didn't show you, but there's a thumbs up and thumbs down button on each one of the threads that you can actually help to train it to say, I like this or I don't like this response, and it will just continue to learn on that. Just a few Oh, thanks, Benno. Lyle, spaces and GPTs basically the same. Not really sure. I don't understand that question. I can follow up with you, Lyle, and answer that at some point. But we're at 11. Good. You want to hit the last slide? If anyone has any additional questions or you want to reach out, if you want to discuss streamlining your operations with AI and putting you in touch with Dylan or designing smarter digital products, simply just reach out to me. We've got the last slide, Dylan, with the info. Yeah, there we go. You can reach us both at that, and we'd be happy to follow up with you, maybe a free consultation or whatever it may be. We're here to help, and it really makes sense of this new capabilities, this new technologies for you. All right. Thank you all for attending. Really appreciate it. And we will send a survey too to help inform future topics that we could do webinars on as well. So thank you very much for your questions and all. And we hope to see you soon.
Yep. Thank you so much, everybody. Talk to you soon. Take care, Jonah.